Hi, this is Carl, and I'm here with Kara. Hi, Kara. Welcome.
Hello.
So, I just wanted to spend a minute and talk about the little lifesaver. Is that what it's called in the lower right-hand corner?
Lifesaver, life ring. Yeah.
Life ring. Okay, so, and it says here, get help. And I just, in the new site, of course, everything is awesome and amazing, but I wanted to spend a little time and talk about this. So, one of the things that I'm always impressed with is how you have figured out how to make things as easy as possible and as relevant as possible. And one of the things that people hate in 2024 is a little thing in the corner that is useless but insists on popping up. So here I have to click on this, and I'm going to zoom out just a little so we get the whole thing. But I click on it, and it's very useful. So walk me through how you designed this so that the user interface is as helpful as possible.
Yeah. So the idea started at realizing that really at any point of your experience on the website, you might have a question come up for you. And it might be something where you're just hoping for help or guidance, or it might be something where you feel like something isn't working properly. And in either case, Carl and I and our team want to know so that we can help. That's the whole point of the community. So I decided to come up with a persistent help option. So it doesn't matter what page you're on the website, if you're logged in or you're logged out, you will always see that life ring at the bottom right corner of your screen. And as you can see, it slides out this little pop-up with a pretty simple form. And there's two options on here. So we have the general help, which we're on right now. And if you're logged in, it pre-fills your first and last name and also your email. We already know who you are. Why should you have to add that in again? Of course, if you needed to update that for whatever reason, if you wanted it to go to a different email when we reply to you, this is all editable. But for most people, I think you'll just be able to cruise past that part.
Right. So I
Then,
just I don't want to move on until we put a note on this. So I could put concierge, right?
yep,
Or
that
whatever, whatever email. But I love the statistic that 70% of the complaints to customer service are, why do I have to enter information multiple times?
mm,
So
yeah.
that little tweak where you literally just take my name and email and say, I already have this. I'm not going to make you enter it again. That's huge in terms of a customer service focused interface. So just want to put that out there.
No, I appreciate the moment to look at that. To me, it feels like sort of an obvious, a simple, why wouldn't we sort of thing. But you're right. In a lot of instances, you're constantly having to re-explain who you are, why you're here, how you got here, etc. So we'll try to remove the obvious whenever we can.
Well, and yes, it's obvious if you're asking for help. It's
Sure.
not obvious to AT&T, Xfinity, American Airlines, right? It's not obvious to almost every website out there. So just saying.
We do what we can here. Okay, so with that in mind, then the next four options are sort of the common categories of how over the last several years we have fielded questions from folks. So it's either you need help finding something, maybe you're kind of lost in the resource library because you're not sure, you have an idea of the problem you want to solve, but you're not quite sure maybe which department it applies to, or I don't know, you're just having trouble finding the answers to what you need. So you can just choose that option, help finding something, and then give us some details, and we'll get back to you and help you out. And that help might come in the form of an email with links, with direct links to resources. It could be that, maybe Carl says, hey, actually, let's get on a call and let's talk through this together because it's a little bit bigger than an email. It just sort of depends on each use case. And that's part of what this community is designed to do, as well as to sort of meet you where you are.
Right.
Yeah.
And is there a limit to what can be posted in here? Is this 255 characters
Nope.
or
Nope. Tell us everything that you think is helpful. There's no limit. I assume most people aren't going to be writing books. You're not going to, well, I don't know. I don't want to give any ideas, but I assume you're not going to chat GPT to write a novella. But if you do, if you can make it humorous, Would be better.
Yeah,
Um,
and I may read it in my spare time.
that's
So
right.
now, if I'm not logged in, how do you know this is legit and not spam?
So we have some things in the back end of the website that do help control for some of that. Um, we use a honeypot, and if you're not familiar with that, there is a hidden field in this form and in all of our forms that a bot will just absent-mindedly, because I have no mind, fill in. And if that field is filled in any way, the form will not submit.
Ah,
But to the average user, we don't even see the field, let alone try to fill it. And so the form will go through. And then beyond that, we also use something called Cloudflare Turnstile, which integrates with all of our forms as well. And by the way, you don't have to be using Cloudflare as a service. If you're using WordPress, they also offer that as a standalone plugin. Um, but anyway, Cloudflare Turnstile allows you to use a JavaScript script to identify whether or not this person appears to be a human. So it's a replacement for the CAPTCHA. So we're no longer asking people to choose all the images that include a bus. And sometimes you have to go page by page by page. So it's a little bit cleaner, better UI, better UX, user experience with a Cloudflare turnstile in that way.
very
Occasionally
cool.
something does come through, and then, we just have to use our best minds to decide whether it's worth responding.
Well, in the world of spy versus spy, that
Yeah,
game will never end, right? So, right,
definitely. Yep.
I'm going to go to a different page,
Okay.
just because I want to show something else. So when we go to a different page, then the context for this is going to be a little bit different. I still go to the get help; it looks the same, but I just wanted to point out if I'm reporting a bug, which
Mhm.
I believe. I could be wrong. We'll cut this out if I'm wrong. But I
Okay,
I believe we've been live for over a month and we've had 0 bugs reported.
that's correct.
All right. Which is all about spectacular design, right? So when I click on the report a bug, then magically what happens is it fills in the web page. So once again, I don't have to tell you where I was when this thing happened to me. So again, I just think that's spectacular. So tell us about the rest of this form.
Yeah, so on the rest of this form, I think the questions on here could be applicable to any user on any website, but they're especially applicable to members inside the small business thoughts technology community. You're used to receiving or submitting tickets, and I wanted this to sort of feel like a simplified version of a ticket, essentially. So you're going to tell us what is a priority for you. And if you click that, Carl, then we can see the options and the priority drop down there. Is this a low, medium, high, or emergency priority level? And you'll let us know. And of course, that will give us an idea about how impacted are you by this, essentially.
So if you need your checklist right now because you're on site and you're about to get fired, so okay, all right, got
That's right.
it.
And then just give a quick explanation of what were you trying to do? What were you hoping would happen? Um, Maybe, for example, you were trying to open up a specific resource and the page just wasn't loading. And so you can simply say page wouldn't load. Or rather, what were you trying to do? You were trying to open up a resource. What went wrong? The page wouldn't load. Got a 404 error. And you guys know too, the more information you give us in terms of what you saw and what you experienced, the better and faster we'll be able to fix that and remedy that for you.
Right.
But if just do the best you can. I'll try to go recreate it regardless and get it fixed for you.
And so you've got the web page where it happened, you've got their notes about that, and then
Yep.
priority. And then they could upload a file if they want to. So again, it says screen capture, but is that limited to a graphic file?
Yeah, these are limited to a graphic file. So typically that's going to end up being a JPEG or sometimes a PDF when you're doing screen grabs, but I also included a PNG in there. And that specifically, you're noticing that there's odd characters showing up on the page or something that just seems really bizarre that you want to make sure is included as part of this. And that's why it's optional too. I think the majority of time it's not going to be required. But we wanted to give the opportunity for folks to include that. I know sometimes when I have to put tickets in with other developers, I always try to include screen grabs so that there's no confusion about what exactly I'm talking about.
Right. Yeah. Well, you know me, I like to take a screenshot and then I circle things or I change the font and put a big like I clicked here, 1, 2, 3, and what the hell's going on? So
Yeah.
um cool. And just a final note, which is that in general on the site we have things like here where hey, you have a question, send us a message, right?
Yep.
And if folks go all the way to the bottom of the screen, whoops, um, they are going to, the screen keeps loading. What are you doing?
I know. So on, it's going to keep doing that. You should go to a
I
different
should
page.
have picked something that doesn't have 122 different things. So, right. All right. So I'm going to get rid of that and
No, you got to go to a different page, Carl. Or yeah, if you go
yeah.
to an SOP or a book or
Yeah,
something.
if I go to there's only going to be 22 there. Okay. So that
Yep.
was my fault. So, but here at the bottom of the screen,
Yep.
we also have all the things that you can do to find out more about us and sort of poke around and learn some stuff. And again, there's constantly an opportunity to contact us. So, whether people are members or non-members, they can always get in touch with us and we'll be happy to answer any questions. So.
Absolutely. Yep.
Very good. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate your time. And I know this was just a silly little thing, but I was just very impressed with the elegance and the usefulness of our little help function, especially in, the 2020s when so many of those things in the right-hand corner are just annoying.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. And for anyone that might be working on their own site, something to keep in mind as you move through it. Because of course we can get too close to it. We have all of these sort of basic understandings of what our goals are and what we're trying to do that we forget that the people visiting our site don't have that same basic information that we do. So they don't have that basic set of assumptions, right? They're not shared. Um, so what I heard, I can't recall who I heard it from, but a couple years ago, I heard someone say that you have to build your website as if your grandmother was going to use it. And so if my grandmother was going to come here and they needed help, what's the easiest way to do that? Well, I need to make it available on every page and I need it to be applicable to exactly what's going on for them in that moment. Of course, I don't need to make it as simple as I might for my actual grandmother, but you get the point here.
Right. Well, especially with nerds, I think that we leave too many things to let them figure out, and they may not be in the mood to figure things out. They got work to do.
Yeah,
Very
absolutely.
good. All right. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Carl.